Some board meetings are just different, and this was a really special and significant one. As we sat in the family room of one of our board members and came to this moment of a decision that was going to impact our church forever. We were deciding, should we go ahead and buy 5 acres of land and build a whole new worship center? I mean, we were busting at the seams as a church. We had 3 services running a Sunday on 1 acre of land. Car parking was a nightmare for our people. We were flowing over into a shopping center car park next door, which really didn't help our neighborly relations with them. And I remember sitting at that board meeting and thinking, oh my goodness, this is momentous. This is huge. This is in fact intimidating and overwhelming and thrilling and exhilarating all at the same time. And our board said, let's go for it. And remarkably, after we made that decision, within a matter of weeks, a big obstacle that had been in our way of that land being purchased was suddenly removed. It was just a sudden, wow, hello, we can now buy that land. It looked like we weren't going to be able to purchase it, and that obstacle got removed. We saw it as a real answer to faith and to prayer, of course. And miraculously, we stepped in and bought 5 prime acres of land, 10 minutes from the beach, 15 to 20 minutes from the CBD of our city. But then, of course, we face the intimidating, daunting task of raising millions of dollars. And I'd have to say at times I felt ill-equipped for that, facing that financial mountain of borrowing money, raising money, selling our current property. But 7 years later, we stood in our dream church facility. We celebrated the goodness of God and the huge generosity of our faith community. And we learned a few lessons from that. And when you pursue your dreams, I think a key thing that we learned is you've got to pursue them prayerfully, soaked in prayer, but with faith, with wisdom, with courage. You need all those elements of prayerfully hunting down the things that the Lord has called you to do. Big decisions require both prayer and boldness and courage and faith. And it's important to seek the Lord as we did as a board. I think it's also crucial in any major financial fundraising or big program shift you're going to do in your church is to involve your leadership team. That meant not me making the decision like, hey, we're going to do this. The Lord has spoken to me. No, you don't want to do that. Involving the board in the decision, involving our staff in that decision, bringing key leaders on the journey, allowing them to contribute, support the process, and join the journey in raising the finance, in raising the faith, in raising the courage level to tackle what is a momentous. It's a once in a generation shift in our church that has brought tremendous fruit over the ensuing 25 years since we moved into that building. Hey, if you're needing some help with the finances of your own life or your church, why don't you get into the description, click the link to the wait list for my new book coming out real soon, Financial Intelligence for Church Leaders. This is a book I've written with stories of our own experience of growing financially, growing in our intelligence around financial matters. Join the waitlist, click the description, jump on the waitlist. We'll let you know when it's published and you can jump in and grab a hold of that book. I know it's going to help you in your financial journey, both personally and for your church. A third lesson, and I got a couple more to share with you, but a third lesson that I learned in it was to communicate very transparently with our congregation, to be very honest. And there are a number of critical meetings we had as we gathered the church and had our normal Sunday services, and then had a special members meeting after the service. And everyone sat there in the pews. Yes, back in the day when we had pews. And they sat there, and I said, we're going to take a vote on whether we do this or not. Now, constitutionally, our board could have made that decision to actually purchase the land. The final legal authority lay in our board. But I said, no, we're going to go to our church and we're going to vote on whether we do this or not. We took it to a vote. And then a couple of years later, when it came down to the final decision to sell our property and go forward with the progress of this entire project, I mean, you're talking a good number of years that we're in this project, trust me. Go to woe was about 12 years, from the board decision to moving in about 7 years. And we took a second vote and said, hey, we're at the point of no return. Do we really want to do this? Both of those votes were 95% plus yes. And I think people enjoyed the fact that we were transparent. When we hit a financial pothole, there was a huge pothole. I write about it in my books that are coming up about financial intelligence and financial excellence. Hit a huge pothole. My goodness, that was a tough time. But we saw the Lord provide. And again, a members meeting. Hey, we've got a huge financial challenge that we've got to meet. We've got to be courageous about this, but transparently telling the church exactly what was going on. Whenever you hit financial potholes that can derail you, one of the things you have to consider is we need to be transparent with our congregation in a way that requires courage and faith. And in a building project like that, everything needs to be laid out clearly for your church to know. Otherwise, people will lose trust and they won't feel comfortable giving to the project. And the last lesson I'm going to take away and share with you today is that you must develop a realistic, rational, and strategic fundraising strategy. People will give to vision projects that they have a sense of connection to and even ownership of. And I encourage you to look at secondary giving programs to raise money for buildings, for missions, for special projects, maybe renovations on your buildings, maybe church planning projects, whatever it is. Now, in the hub, the Grow a Healthy Church hub, we have a whole training on how to run a successful secondary giving program for buildings, missions, and projects. All the lessons that we learned through raising millions of dollars over the years for buildings and for missions and projects put down into this training. You can grab it in the hub. There's a link below. So check out the links, join the hub today, grab that fundraising training, but also join the wait list for this book that's coming out soon, Financial Intelligence for Church Leaders.